Right, hi everyone. One thing that came up quite a bit this week was I've come across a few students who are asking me about why particular imported CAD models didn't work and why you couldn't actually do anything with it. You couldn't seem to grab hold of things, you can't interface with things. Now, I won't lie, this is probably me thinking, well, this is me just thinking that you'd come across this before. For that, I do apologise, but I thought what I would do is set up just a short video to introduce you to file types or CAD translation. It is a very big hot topic, and creating a good CAD file is vital to get it to translate exactly as you want it to. There's a few things that I'm pretty sure a lot of you won't be aware of, and I thought I'd show you that as well, which might be quite useful. So what I'll do is start dead early on. So I'm going to pull up something I've had before. So let's have a look. Right. So I'll bring up the Continuum robot, which I've been running on with a project this year. This is a great example. Now what I want to do is, let's say for argument's sake, I want to export this, and I don't know. Let's look at one of these red spools here. So let's export this, and I want to move it for printing, for 3D printing. Now then, just stay with me with this. Let's say that this part here, yeah, I love how jazzy this looks. Sorry, it's taking forever to load. There we go. Now let's say this red part is, oh, in fact, this is nice. So if you look at these small, tiny central holes, let's say for argument's sake, these locator holes, because they're actually for a horn. I'm just seeing if the horn's on there. It's not. So then let's say we're really curious about these holes being made as accurately as we can. So what I'll do is, first I'll open this. I need to obviously send. This is one thing that I thought some of you guys might find useful. So I'll open it up, and that is my horn. That, in fact, you can see there where the actual center pin sits. So the horn sits in, and then you screw through. Now, what I really like to do is not cause too much stress and too much damage on the actual pin. So what I do is, I'm going to push this, and I'm just thinking, best way to print this is obviously going to be this way up, and then I don't need to do any infills on the center point of the horn. But what I'll do is go to File and Save. Everybody, and I mean everybody, will have gone through this many particular times before. So you go out and you go, right, save it as STL, job done, thumbs up, let's move on. Now, as far as I understand, now, if I've got this wrong, do accept my apologies, but as far as I understand, everybody's not aware that there are two types of STL files. So now we know with binary. Now I'm going to see if I can just find a nice quick example as to binary. So binary. So as we know with binary, and I'm just doing this to be for completion. Well, how's Wikipedia have it? A binary number is an expression of base 2 in numerical base. Right, yeah, exactly. So as we know, it's ones and zeros, and it's how it's all held together. And your STL file format, so your STL is a series that holds them together in quadrants. Now, we do have two different types. We have the lower resolution level, which is ASCII. Which is binary. However, we also have ASCII. So what I'll do is I'll output in a binary format. So this is just in binary, so I'll save that. And you see there, it breaks it down into its typical triangles. And do I want to proceed? Yes. So what I'm interested in here is file size of 49. Let's have a look. 400. Let's have a look. Would that be gigabytes? 49 gigabytes? Or is that 498 gigabytes? Apologies. Right. But it's the triangles there. 9,974. So we go okay. Now the issue with this is these tiny little holes are probably going to get lost in that process. But what I'll do is also save in the other format. The trouble is nowadays with slicers, they do so many good things that it's hard to really show you the difference. So if I go file type, you see here, now we'll change this to ASCII. And I'm going to go options. And then in my options now, again, we've got custom here and so forth. We can change a few more bits down here as well. But I'm interested now in my ASCII resolution. So click OK, and then I'll go save. Again, same level of triangles. However, this format should be bigger in its storage. Let's have a look. It's going to be awkward if it's not much bigger. That'd be really awkward. It's going to have really... There we go. So you can see there, your ASCII file format. So your ASCII offers so much more resolution as to what it is that we're doing. However, the STL, I don't want to demote STL at all. But then if I move into my slicer, in this case I use Cura, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will. That was slicer, but this effect will appear in all. So if you do anything for your mesh, I'm sure you use, what's it called? Forgotten. Mesh Mixer. So I just want to open this up so you guys can see exactly what I mean. The other folder here is to just take you through the step format and the import process, not the export process. So let's just see where we are as far as loading Cura. Let that just load. The other thing is as well is step and IGES. What is the difference? So step was rumored to be the next step from IGES. It is insane. It was rumored to be able to offer you so much detail about material data. And it does kind of work in many ways. Anybody who knows MATLAB Sim Multibody, you'll know that step's the uniformed acceptance. IGES, they're a little bit hit and miss. But it's really step 241, which is something I'll cover in just a moment. So as a bit of a test, let's see how these are brought in. I bet we're not going to see much, which will be a real pain in the backside, really, but I'd like to be able to see. So let's bring these in. And let's bring this down a little bit here. Yeah, we're not really getting much on here, which is a bit of a shame. I think perhaps in my case, the geometry is just a little bit too simple. I'm just trying to see if I can find anywhere where there's... We could have done with some nice edges, that's all. Some nice curves, things like that. And if I slice this, let's see how it gets on with slicing. Let's do preview. Yeah, it's not done me proud there at all. You can see there that it is pretty sweet. It's done. It's done a cracking job. Damn it. But if you're doing something like a faceplate, if you're doing something that has a lot of profile to it, and you're losing detail when you're converting out in a binary format, then I would always recommend trying going through the ASCII format, because the ASCII will just give you that little bit of an edge. But I've not chosen the best real example for that, because I'm just making it up as I'm going along. Okay, we go maximize. So that is exporting in two different file formats. Now, I know some of you will be like, well, so what? However, there is something else. There is the point of bringing in frozen designs, things that you cannot touch. So what I'll do is go open. Now I'm using the human male dummy. This is purely because a lot of my project students, I've given you this design and it's left you all a bit stumped. So apologies, I want to try and clear that up right away. So let's look at this. So it comes in step file format. There's not much I can do. Let's have a look for options wise. So when I go on options, what's it going to try and do? It's going to try and form any solid that it can. I can tell it to just ignore that and make it just apply for and don't knit any surfaces. So it will just bring in what it can, and it will be rough as old. So import as multiple body parts. Import as import assembly as multiple bodies. Let's go. Just thinking. So I suppose we could try and go as multiple bodies. or we could import as an assembly. Let's go with assembly and go OK. And then open. Now what it does is it reads through the initial file format and it starts to look at each geometric representation. If I leave it in its old format, it's going to try and bring in the step as one single part. And then what you've got to do is like remove parts out. And in many ways, you could use base part. Now, wait for it, here it comes. 3, 2, 1, come on. I honestly didn't plan that. Right now, so you look here, do you want to run diagnosis? No. It's going to try and rebuild everything. So I'm going to just, I don't want to see that. So let's just take a look around. And again, my project students in particular, you guys have probably opened this and gone, what the hell is that? So, now this has been the biggest problem. And this is what a lot of people have faced. You're kind of going onto it and you go, right, okay, let's go measure. I'm going to go on here and then down to here. So yeah, I can get measurements on here. But yeah, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and clean this up. So let me just move. Hang on, let me just move. You go, right, okay, so I'm just going to edit that. You go, what? What is that telling me? And this is what I thought you guys had seen. So for this, I am massively sorry because I genuinely didn't realize you guys hadn't seen this yet. So let's get back to it. It's going to close that, and I'm going to explain what is actually happening. So there is a real thing about locking down designs and keeping designs kept away, and a lot of companies, if you send these things for analysis and for review, what they will do is actually not touch your stuff at all. You can leave this in its base format. So what I mean is this is us looking into a step file and just reading from it. Anybody who's a gamer, anytime you've downloaded anything that's zipped, you know you have to unzip it and place it into a folder. Now, pretend for 2 seconds what we've done is we've unzipped the step and we're just still in that folder. What we need to do is almost unzip it and place it into something else so we can play around, we can edit this. So this is where you'll see here, the green arrow. This green arrow here is implying that it still is related. If I go on to here and I go to edit, you see here it's down as single step. That's all it tells me. You kind of go, okay, well, that's cool. What's that mean? See here, this is showing the address where it's coming from. So in other words, it's still locked. It can't do anything for that particular reason. So what it's saying is, if I right click on here, and you've got import diagnostic. Yeah, we're not doing the import. Everybody, I have a lot of people go, right, I'm just going to do the diagnostic. You go, no, just fix it. So, see here we have break link. This is not just in steps, it is in a lot of geometric translation files. So this is step files, this is object files, and this is IGES files. STL files are just a cloud point of what that geometry was. So using that as something tangible and useful, you can get some softwares which will convert STL through to a solid base. Inventor, for example, is phenomenally good at doing that type of thing. But again, it's very chunky and a little bit of a pain. So what I'm going to do is break the link. Now what it says is, whoa, what are you doing? If you break that link, what you're going to do is you're going to remove any links to the original CAD origin. Are you sure you want to do that? And you go, yes, I do want to do that. So I break that link and give it a minute. Now what it's going to do is start to look at the geometry and kind of say, right, well, if he's going to break that link, I need to be able to represent each body within this geometry as something else. Now, you see on the left side, we have the whole drop down. And what we've got there is each body which has been separated. Now there's an issue here. You notice when I jumped in, then jumped back out, it's now converted itself to a part. Not happy with this, so don't save. And I'm going to repeat this process. It jumped out of that. I didn't want that. Import assembly has multiple parts. Go. Okay. So now what we do is run through it again. It was just useful for me to show you the process and what we're doing and why. So what it does as well is it will open a new part and place the step into that part. So that's why we've got a part with a part in it. So it's messy. It is messy from the start. We need to... oh, you look at that. Still brought it in as never mind. Never mind. It's a pain, but we're going to have to fix it. So no, I don't want to run it. I'm going to right click on here and I'm going to break it. I just thought it would come in as an assembly. It didn't. So I'm going to break. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we break it. It comes back as a part. Back as a part. There we go. Somebody did tell me recently that there's been a new conversion method. Now, I'm just going to check. So this is me just experimenting. See how it's .sldprt? If I type in file extension, file extension for assembly, SolidWorks. I think something like ASB or something like that. So assembly part is that SLD ASM. So copy that, bring that back out, and this is just me experimenting. I was told this worked a treat, so I'm going to try it and just see. Click save. I bet it's not done it. Let's have a look. No, didn't work. Come out as a part. Never mind. Anyway, it was worth the effort. So now what we've got is a little bit more of a pain. Now, what I've got up here is all each individual bodies that have been brought in. If I look at this one, now anybody's looking at that, this was a piece that was put in the groin area just to give it that angle. This was something that I was given years ago, and I've used it ever since, to be honest. So with that one, I mean, for this, I could perhaps delete that out. These balls as well, these were used as a point. So these, that one, and where is it? That one. These are also suppressed down. What I'm going to do is... So, few ways with this. Let's try, and in fact, I'm not going to suppress them. I'm going to delete them. I want to delete them. They're serving no purpose for what we need. This is about the body itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you've got something that you need to be able to dissect and do something else with it, it depends what it is that you're doing. I'm just removing them just because anybody who's using this body in for their project, you'll be looking and it will just help you to just try and dissect what's happening. So you can see now, this is just a bit of a thing to allow me to model components around. Right, so what I'm going to start with is, let's start with the head. Rest of these down here to here, I'm going to suppress. And that is the first body part. So what I'll do now is save as. And I mean, there's a few things I could do. I like to save these out as steps, and then I've got them as parts. Or I could do a straight part. I'll do an export. I'm just battling with what's the way forward. I'll do an export and we'll call this torso. And 3, 2, 1. Right, so I'll now bring this in, which in this case is the bicep, the left bicep. Minimize that. Do an export. Like the other, I'll go IGES. I'll go bicep. But, right, so I have two parts now. So what I'll do is open up bicep, well, open up torso. Any minute now. I mean, there are other translation elements to it. Useful thing. So do I want to run? No, I don't. I'm going to sever that. Let's break that link. Yeah. And it's just going to allow me to just get the torso there, and that's all I really want to do. I mean, the other option is, which maybe, oh my good God. This is one thing that it also does with IGES. So watch this. If I just hide the main body, it actually gives me the sketches. Don't be too fooled by this. It can tie you up in knots, but as far as profile goes, it will give you the skeletal sketches, and it'll give you the points for if you're doing something particular around torso area, around the head, or anything like that. It'll allow you to give you a good profile to allow you to build something up even more useful. Right, so that now allows me to break that down a little bit more. I mean, alternately, if you don't want to go through that process, another way of doing it, because as ever, there's always 1,000,001 ways to complete these things. Another way of doing it is going by base part. So if I go new part, then go view, I'll go insert part. Obviously, it takes me to my human body, and then I'll go okay. This now puts me in a position where it brings in that body, and all I now need to do is start deleting stuff I'm not interested in. So from here, now I could go to insert, features, and then go delete you. Oh, no. Oh, you. Okay. That now puts it into a file format. I can do things with this now. I can model straight to it. I can model around it. I can create offsets from this. This gives me insane levels of power. It's quite useful. So if you were doing, I don't know, like an upper limb exoskeleton, what you could do is we could simply just bring in Ed, as I call it. Bring in Ed, and we could just attach a bicep here and then use this body to allow us to try and pluck out something sensible. Right, and as I said, it was just only going to be a quick example of this. One thing to keep in mind is Step does have two types of formats. We have Step 203 and Step 214. Now the story always goes, that IGES was the first one that was introduced, and what a lot of people said is, what if we could capture not just IGES geometric data? What if we could capture color or surface roughness or something like that? And then there was also, what if we could capture material data and a lot more about the geometry. Step 203 was the first one that introduced the idea of being able to capture color. But then this was instantly met with opposition from, if it's on this list, it better be. It's OBJ files, object files. Oh, false. Yeah, there you go. It's not on the list. It's very much, you'll find these very much in AutoCAD stuff, but not on here. Anyway, so, and then they kind of died. A lot of people were using more of IGES files, and then they introduced the idea of capturing so much more material data, things like that. Now, you do have to tell the system, record the material data, but then these files get gigantic. And yeah, so this is where MATLAB started to integrate this file format into their Sim multibody. it just became this incredible file type. And it is normally, the 214 is normally the step file, the step process that I normally like to use, because it captures everything that I'm attempting to do in them key processes. The final one is .sat data, so a satellite data. Now, it is more categorized as satellite in Inventor, but when you're using satellite data, what that allows you to do is to have abridged data. Now, as long as the software that you're using supports this behavior, you can connect directly. So this is good for something like 3D Max Interactive. So if you're wanting to, let's say, if I bring this back, let's say we have body armor on here and we wanted to actually see this in real life. We've done this here at UCLan, so it's not something that's make-believe. What you can do is we can design this, and then through the satellite file, we can upload to 3D Max Interactive, and you can have a participant sat in the viewing suite who can actually interact with that body armor. Please don't think this is a live FEA. It really isn't. It just gives perspective. It gives somebody the feeling of realism to give them an idea of this. Now, we did sample this with the Formula Student cars. It was particularly the Formula Student chassis and whatever they'd actually produced at that time. We prototyped that and sent that across, and that's a pretty sweet format as well. There is so much in file formats, but the one thing I really wanted you guys to be able to see is that, because if you import something and you just don't get access to it like that, it can leave you frustrated and a little bit annoyed and just lost about how the hell you're meant to do something. Do take a look at that. If there's any issues, anyone, reach out as ever, get in touch, and I will try and help wherever humanly possible. Let me show a recorder. I'm just making sure you can hear me, which you can. I promised it wouldn't be long. It's only 27 minutes. But again, this is just about file formatting. It's nothing that's really going to complement your degree as such, but it's just good for information. If there is any questions about this, if there is any issues that you guys are having, do get in touch, reach out, more than happy to help. Other than that, have a good one, and I will probably see whoever's watching this very soon. Cheers, guys.